Hello everybody, here we are today talking about whether or not it's time to sound the alarm for the Nashville Predators this season. So before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. Being said, let's get on into it. So we'll kick off this video by saying there are probably two camps for the Nashville Predators and how people view them. The camp that is saying, well, this team has been decent to pretty good for a long time, so they'll get things figured out, especially when you look at this team on paper and realize how good they could be. Then you have the other camp that people could say are overreacting, talking about how Nashville's season is already over. We're kind of going to go and lean that way a little bit and encourage that route and talk about how some things have been really bad for this team, starting out with the fact that they sit 31st in the league for points percentage and are, 4-8-1 through their first 13 games. That is just one of those obvious things that 4 wins in your first 13 games is not going to cut it when you look at the fact that they have captured 9 out of 26 possible points and are on pace for like a 55-point season. It's pretty clear that by the end of the year, you wouldn't be a playoff side. And I get how people are concerned about this. Their offense has some numbers that look concerning too. They sit 30th in the league for goals for per 60, and Filip Forsberg leads the team for goals with 6th. And that's not bad. Again, Filip Forsberg has been a guy that has led the team before for goals, but he would be not even top 25 in the league for goals. And then you look at something like the fact that they are having Tommy Novak be third on the team for goals. Tommy Novak, no disrespect to him, but he shouldn't be third on this list. And then you have Gustav Nyquist, which I don't think is the biggest deal. Last year was a good year for him, but he probably shouldn't be finishing second on your team. You see some of these names on here, and you're hoping to get things figured out. You've got Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault. They have combined for just 5 goals, and they have got to be able to find the back of the net because those two contributed, 82 goals last year for their teams combined, and they are in a spot right now where they could have really, really bad years, which would obviously correlate with Nashville really being in a rut. And I know it's not all on them. I know that there's other guys as well that we have to talk about here for this team, but we have to realize that they just have to step up in general. We can't say, well, the chances are good, their 5-on-5 numbers look pretty decent. Their power play has improved a little bit, especially when they started up the year 1-9, and they'll just get some better puck luck. When it comes down to it, every game matters, and they just recently got shut out. They've lost 4 of their past 5, and they can't hope for some of these stars to go out there and try to produce. They need other guys to step up. I mean, they've got guys right now at the moment like Colton Sissons that I think are practically unplayable. 1 point in his first 13 games. He's got a plus-minus, I think a -12 at the moment. And you just have some concerns for this team right now. You have the fact that Scott Wedgwood is probably not going to be able to give Jussi Saros a break. And then you've got Barry Trotz going out there and talking about if we don't get things turned around right here, we're going to have a rebuild. And this is where the team really has to get together and have that speech in the locker room where you say that by the end of the year, you point to this and say, this is our turning point. We could say Barry motivated us, if you will, where we said, we want to keep this group together, even though I don't think he actually is going to do a rebuild. But this is the time for everybody to get on the right track and get where everybody is going. Because again, we can talk about how those numbers don't look bad in certain ways. The PK percentages look really good. And I know for a lot of people that like to look at the analytics, they're like, oh, it's okay in some ways, or, oh, they had just a bad year. But fans in general just look at the standings. And this is where you have to catch fire. They are, looking at a situation right now where I think they would need about 91 points over their final 69 games, which would be a 108-point pace, which is doable-ish, but it does kind of highlight the fact that this is a time where you could overreact and say the season is over, because they really are going to have to buckle down. They can't look at this and say, well, if we just get lucky and we catch a break where the schedule is a little bit soft and we catch fire a little bit, this is where we will be able to revitalize our season. Or if we're able to just play really well and maybe steal a win tonight, it's going to be okay. This is where every game has to be a win, or at the very least, you have to go out there and get the loser's point. And I know that while they are in a spot where they are only a couple points back of the St. Louis Blues for 5th in the division, or 4th in the division, right around there at the moment, they're still at the bottom of the division if we're looking at actual points. And this is where you say, man, I really didn't expect them to be below Chicago. And we can't say that things are going to get better necessarily because of the fact that Colorado Avalanche are going to be getting Valeri Nichushkin back on the 15th. Luckily, they play Colorado before Nichushkin comes back, but they play the Oilers, and McDavid's going to be back before then when he was expected to be out a little bit longer. And you realize that in some ways they really aren't catching breaks, but guess what? That's just how it works every single season, and they have to be in a state of panic. Maybe call it a controlled state of panic, but we've all been there before where things are just really spiraling down for you, hopefully not in too crazy of a way, but you just got to lock in, and you understand that while everything might be going around you that is just kind of getting hectic, you got to take care of the task that's in front of you. And maybe guess what? At work, that stack of papers gets a little bit smaller. In your home life, whatever is going on gets a little bit better. just one of those deals where they have to be a madman in a sense where they still play well, but they aren't, playing bad hockey. So now it's time to push up in the standings. It's time to have Jussi Saros have a Vezina caliber run. It's time for the offense to come to life, and it's time for them to finish, especially in the third period where it seems like things have gotten away from them, especially as of late. This is where you are able to kind of make that push and become that playoff team. They've got about 70 games, so there's still plenty of time to go out there and do it. But, again, the mathematical odds get worse day by day. So this is hopefully where they go on that 15-game win streak or that 20-game point streak, something along those lines. Do I personally think they're going to go out there and make it? I don't, especially because we're seeing some other teams that are doing a little bit better than I thought they would, or a team like Colorado that's just going to be getting healthier in the coming weeks. But there's hope. There's always hope. And with a team that is built like this, there is a potential for them to get extremely hot and go out there and make that playoff run. So anyway, those are just my thoughts on the Nashville Predators. Do you think they're going to go out there and be able to go to the playoffs? Do you think their season is already over? Let me know all that down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And Eagle of Hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.